I will now call to order the regular City Council meeting of March 8th, 2021. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is being held electronically, and members of council are participating remotely pursuant to the council's electronic participation policy. Public access to the meeting is available on the local government access channel 8 for Comcast and Xfinity subscribers and on the city's YouTube channel online. Public access is also available by telephone by utilizing the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda. All callers will be muted and may only comment during the times allotted for public comment as indicated on the agenda. If you are on the phone waiting to speak to council and are also watching the meeting on YouTube or Channel 8, please know there are a couple of seconds of delay with the live stream. Please turn down your computer or TV volume as we approach the sections on the agenda reserved for public invited to be heard, so you can hear the council meeting on the phone and to prevent background noise when you are unmuted to speak. Those calling in and wishing to speak to council may text 303-450-8757 to sign up to provide public comment. Please note that you must connect to the City Council meeting by calling the separate call-in number listed on the agenda. If you prefer to not text your name to the clerk, please speak up and indicate your desire to provide public comment when prompted at the appropriate times. Once you have been recognized, state your name and address and provide your comments to council. Thank you for following these directions and for maintaining meeting decorum tonight. Joanna, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Leidy?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford?
Here.
Councilmember Witkovich?
Here.
Councilmember Peterson?
Here.
Councilmember Downing will be absent. Councilmember Brown may be absent. Councilmember Goff?
Here. I'm sorry, here.
Councilmember Duran Malika?
Here.
Councilmember Escobar?
Here.
Thank you.
Oh, hold on. I'm coming. Okay, please stand as you are able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so this month, municipalities across the country are giving special recognition to the victims and survivors of COVID-19. Last Friday, our Justice Center was lit in magenta, joining cities around the state. Northglenn's first case was reported on March 12th, 2020. Since last March, over 3,400 cases have been reported in the city, and 62 residents have died from the virus. Each life lost in Northglenn and across the globe matters and leaves a hole in the hearts of loved ones, family members, and the surrounding community. Please join me in a moment of silence in remembrance of the victims and in honor of the survivors of COVID-19. Thank you very much. City Manager Geyer, are there any responses to citizen inquiry?
I do have one thing this evening, Mayor and members of council, and that is we included this information in the monthly connection that you should have received over the weekend. On March 15th, the two recycling facilities that have been at JC Park and Northwest Open Space, we're closing those and moving recycling drop-off to the maintenance and operations facility. The reason for this change is because of a continuing issue with contamination of our recycling bins, excessive drop-off of garbage, everything from mattresses. We've seen the whole gamut. So part of the reason why staff is taking this step is to hit the reset. Hopefully residents find maintenance and operations facility located over off of Cloud Court convenient. We'll have the facility open Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 3 p.m., as well as on the weekends. In April, recycling will be open for drop-off. Recycling drop-off will be open every Saturday, along with tree and branch drop-off. It's important for residents to know this is in addition to your curbside pickup on a biweekly basis. So as we ask for your patience and support as we make this transition, I know I've heard from some residents concerns about removing those two locations, but we haven't been able to find a way to really not have recycling bins become contaminated, which then means the recycling isn't being recycled. So we need to get a handle on how best to serve our community in providing that service, but we need to make this shift in order to do so. So please feel free to reach out to me, provide me with feedback. I'll share that with public works staff, and we'll do the best we can to make sure the drop-off times are convenient at M&O. But I wanted to elevate that shift is happening on March 15th, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
I don't see any questions. Thank you for the update. Okay, we have two interviews tonight. We have Nicholas Walker tonight. He is applying as an alternate member position on the Liquor Licensing Authority. He attended the March 1st Liquor Licensing Authority meeting, and the authority has recommended his appointment to the board. So Nicholas, if you could provide information about your background and interest on serving on the authority. Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your guys' time tonight. Basically, in my interview to the Liquor Licensing Authority, I kind of went over some of the things I had done in the past in previous cities that I had lived in, whether it came to organizing block parties and having to draw out the maps and go over security and know the ins and outs of having to do that in a larger city. And then I also kind of went on why the board interests me, and it was mainly periodic brewing closing, given that was Northglenn's only brewery, and that kind of hit close to home. And I don't want to say it was a gift, but since they closed, but that's what got me interested in the Liquor Licensing Authority, and hopefully we can bring some of that back to Northglenn. It'd be nice to take the family somewhere local. So that was the short synopsis of my interview for the board, and I appreciate their recommendation.
Excellent. Well, I agree with you. The loss of that brewery was significant to our city. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Walker? No. Okay, well, congratulations and thank you for serving in this way. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Whoa, I think I hit a power cord and all my things just started blinking. Whoa, okay. Hold on, just a short pause. I think I'm getting it back. That was frightening. Okay, welcome back, at least to me. Michael Watkins is here, so welcome. He's interviewing to fill the at-large member position on the Citizens Affairs Board. He attended the February 3rd CAB meeting to be interviewed by the board. At the March 3rd CAB meeting, the board voted to recommend his appointment. So Michael, if you could provide some information about your background and your interest in serving on the board. Oh, we need you to unmute.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you, Madam Mayor. I've been a resident of Northglenn with my family for close to 30 years. I served in the United States Marine Corps for 8 years, and I've been with the state of Colorado for going on 32 years now. I'm at a point now, I've always been interested in our city. I've always been interested in working civically as I can. And I'm at a point now where I can spend more time doing that. I'm really looking forward to this opportunity to meet the new folks on my team and work with them and support the city.
Excellent. I see the Mayor Pro Tem has her hand up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have a question so much as I have a statement. I just want to say thanks to you, Michael, for applying. I think that you will be a tremendous value add to the board. You interviewed for the community co-production policing board, and I've known you and your wife Patty for years, and I just think you're a tremendous problem solver, a great advocate for this community. I'm just really excited to see you get involved. So thanks for applying.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased.
Does anybody else have any comments or questions? Councilwoman Goff?
Yes, I would just like to welcome you to the Citizens Affairs Board. I actually served on that for a couple of years, so I know we're always in need of good people, and I would definitely appreciate your taking the time to participate in that. So thanks again.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here and for serving in this way. So we have no objections from council, and so the resolutions for appointing both Nicholas and Michael will be official on the March 22nd regular council meeting. So thanks for being with us. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, we have 3 proclamations tonight. So I'd like to welcome Malley Drive Elementary School Principal Francesca Craver and Special Education Significant Support Needs Teacher Mike Messerschmidt, that's a mouthful, to accept the proclamation. So thank you for being here. I've spent a lot of Zoom time with Malley Drive in the last couple of weeks. Your students are absolutely adorable. So I'm going to share my screen and pull up the proclamation. Whereas developmental disabilities affect millions of individuals, recent estimates in the United States show that about 1 in 6 children between the ages of 3 and 17 have 1 or more developmental disabilities. And whereas intellectual and developmental disabilities should not keep individuals from realizing their full potential in school, at work, or at home as members of their families and their communities. And whereas the month of March has been designated as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month to increase public awareness about the needs and potential of Americans with developmental disabilities, and focuses on the importance of inclusion and living life side by side. And whereas family members, friends, and members of the community can play a central role in enhancing the lives of people with disabilities, especially when the family and community are provided with necessary support services and public and private employers are aware of the capabilities of people with disabilities to be engaged in competitive work in inclusive settings. And whereas the City of Northglenn thanks our community organizations, human services providers, families, caregivers, teachers, and advocates who continue to emphasize the moral imperative of engaging people with disabilities and recognizes the continuing need to educate all that the movement towards full inclusion in community life for people with disabilities is a positive and worthy goal. And whereas the City of Northglenn values all individuals with intellectual or developmental disabilities and believes it is important to include people of all abilities in every aspect of community life. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim March 2021 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in the City of Northglenn and urge all residents to come together to raise awareness about how classrooms, workplaces, houses of worship, and communities are stronger when they include people of all abilities. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 8th day of March 2021. So thank you to our guests for being here. Would you like to say a few words? You can unmute now.
Yes, hi. My name is Mr. Mike. I'm the significant support teacher at Malley Drive Elementary. Francesca Craver, our principal, is also here. I know she was telling me she's having some technical difficulties, but I think she can hear us now, so that's good. So I just wanted to speak real quick if I can. I want to say thank you to Mayor Leidy and the city of Northglenn for adopting this very important proclamation. As a special education teacher and as a parent, if I could add or change something to make the lives of the families and students I work with better, it would be to add more understanding and empathy to the overall community. I see parents empathizing with other parents all the time in the community, especially, for instance, like at the grocery store, when a toddler is having a, say, developmentally typical moment of frustration. I think you kind of know what I'm talking about. However, families who have children with significant needs especially don't necessarily feel that same empathy when they're in the community. So my hope is this proclamation will help in our efforts to expand and educate our community on the extraordinary challenges our families face and increase that level of comfort and support our families feel, especially when venturing out into the open community. So on behalf of all the families with children who have more unique needs, I just want to extend a heartfelt thank you and, know that we really, appreciate this gesture.
Thank you so much for being here. I don't know if you're having audio problems. Do you want to add anything? Can you hear us on the phone?
I can hear you on the phone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Yes, my computer won't get the audio. It's so strange. But yes, I agree with Mike. I think any kind of awareness that we could have with our students is going to be best. And we really appreciate this proclamation being brought forth in the city of Northglenn. And so we hope a lot of other cities follow in the footsteps of Northglenn. I know that I grew up in Northglenn as a kid, graduated from Northglenn High School. And so staying around this area and believing in what Northglenn stands for, and then now having this just really fills my heart. So thank you so much for thinking of our students with unique needs, and we appreciate the partnership with you.
Thank you so much for being here and for the work that you do. It really is a big deal. Really quick, in addition to a shout out to Lily Queen, I believe is one of your students. She is now my new email pen pal. She writes me almost every day. We have lots of conversations. She is an absolute joy. But I have enjoyed spending time with your staff and students in the last couple weeks. So thank you for everything and for joining us tonight.
Of course. Thank you for spending time with us at Malley Drive too.
Okay. See you later.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Okay, our next proclamation is for Women's History Month. We have a special guest joining us tonight. I'm hoping she'll pop on. Hello, welcome. So we have former Mayor Kathy Novak here with us. So I'm going to say a few words, then I'm going to read the proclamation, and then I will hand it over. So Kathy made history in 2001 when she was the first woman elected to serve as mayor of the city of Northglenn. In total, she served 18 and a half years on city council as a Ward 1 council member, Ward 4 council member, and mayor for 2 terms. While serving as mayor, Kathy was elected to serve as president of the National League of Cities. This was a historic moment that allowed Mayor Novak to represent Northglenn on a national level. She has received numerous awards and recognitions, including Businesswoman of the Year, 9 News Leader of the Year, the Excellence in Teaching Award from Regis University, Institute Director Excellence Award from the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, and the John B. Christensen Award for promoting and working for good, strong, representative local government and regionalism in solving mutual problems. She served on city council and achieved much success while raising her 5 children. Kathy continues to be involved in the community as a member of the Northglenn Urban Renewal Authority. Her service to others as a teaching assistant professor at the Daniels College of Business at DU, and director of the Colorado Municipal Clerks Institute, are examples of how Kathy continues to support and lead the way for others to achieve success. What a perfect person from our city to be here with us tonight. So I am going to share the proclamation. Here we go. Whereas throughout our nation's history, women have been pioneers in all areas of society, from the arts and sciences to medicine and public service. And whereas during Women's History Month, trailblazers of the past are remembered, including the women who are not recorded in our history books, and we honor their legacies by carrying forward the valuable lessons learned from the powerful examples they set. And whereas women have significantly influenced public policy, contributed to the building of viable institutions and organizations that continue to support our communities, and played a unique role throughout the history of the United States by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force. And whereas, whether serving in elected positions across America, leading groundbreaking civil rights movements, venturing into unknown frontiers, or programming revolutionary technologies, generations of women that knew their gender was no obstacle to what they could accomplish have long stirred new ideas and opened new doors, having profound and positive impacts on our communities. And whereas women have been leaders, not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and the peace movement, which creates a more fair and just society for all. And whereas this month we celebrate countless women and their victories, we continue our work to build a society where women and daughters have the same opportunities as others. And we honor the countless women who sacrificed and strived to ensure all people have an equal shot at pursuing the American dream. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim March 2021 as Women's History Month in the City of Northglenn and urge all residents to join in honoring the legacy of women of every race, class, and ethnic background who changed the world by contributing to the economic, cultural, and social development of our society in countless ways. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 8th day of March, 2021. So, welcome. Kathy, would you like to say a few words?
Well, what a beautiful resolution. And thank you for the honor of being the ceremonial acceptor of this resolution on behalf of Women's History Month. I just am grateful to the tremendous leadership exhibited and service exhibited by you, Mayor, our amazing women on the City Council, our city manager, our clerk, and all of the women in Northglenn who serve in our schools, our nonprofits, our businesses. Northglenn is an amazing community because of its people. And I think we have a particularly strong track record of excellence in the women who choose to lead. So thank you all. It's wonderful to be with you all tonight.
Thank you. Councilmember Mullica.
Yes, I just wanted to thank Kathy for being here as well. You know, she is such a phenomenal leader from our community. I met her shortly after I was elected in 2017, and, you know, she was supportive and encouraging, and, you know, being a mother of 5, I think what you were able to accomplish and what you're still able to accomplish is very inspiring. And so I really appreciate having role models like you kind of lead the way. You know, I just overall just thank you for everything you've done for our city and the leadership that you've been able to achieve for, I don't know, future generations. So thanks.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure kind of moving a few things out of the way to enable wonderful leaders like you all to follow behind. So thank you, Julie.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Okay, moving into our third proclamation. Lost my screen again. I think I'm losing it today. Here we go. National Poison Prevention Week is next week, March 14th through the 20th. Pam Kuchin, Fire and Life Safety Education Officer with the North Metro Fire Rescue District, is here. So welcome, Pam.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and all the council members. How are you guys?
Good.
Good. Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, well, I'm going to read the proclamation and then I will turn the floor over to you. So here we go. Whereas in 1961, Congress designated the third full week in March to be National Poison Prevention Week. And since then, this week has helped to raise national awareness of the dangers of potential poisonous household items, such as prescription medicines, cleaning products, pesticides, and other substances. And whereas 87 people die every day from unintentional poisoning, and each year the nation's poison control centers answer more than 2.6 million calls. And whereas 93% of poisonings occur in people's homes, and 45% of poison exposures involve children under the age of 6. And whereas most poisoning incidents revolve around highly toxic household items, such as cleaning products and medicine, and it is important to take preventative measures to make sure children are safe. And whereas it is also important to protect our pets from ingesting poison and learn the poisoning symptoms that indicate they require attention. And whereas medical science is constantly learning more about poisons, and National Poison Prevention Week is the perfect time to brush up not only on the standard facts, but to identify any new information that has been discovered to better guard against poisonings. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim March 14th through 20th, 2021 as National Poison Prevention Week in the City of Northglenn, and urge everyone in the community to commit to educating ourselves on poison prevention, checking all potentially dangerous household products, and ensuring the safety of ourselves, our families, and our community. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 8th day of March, 2021. So Pam, thank you for being here. What would you like to add?
Okay, well, thank you so much for adopting the proclamation for the National Poison Prevention Week. That is awesome. We need to just make sure that it is so important that we educate people with just the basic information on poison prevention in our home, such as keeping chemicals out of the reach of children, and being careful to read the labels and the dosages for all the products, making sure not to tell children that, please take your medicine. This is just like candy. Because I have a program that actually is candy versus medicines. And as we all know, there are so many medications out there that look like candy. And the kids, they think it's candy and they see it because if these medicines are not put away up and out of reach of children, they might think it's candy and take the medicine and end up really harming themselves. So thank you for adopting this proclamation because it is extremely, extremely important. There is the majority of fatal poisonings occur among adults, especially our older adults. So not only with children, with older adults too, because they may take too much of one medicine. So anyway, just thank you so much. And it has been a pleasure being here with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, we have another special guest. It's just the evening of the stars. Our new district attorney, Brian Mason, is here to introduce himself. It's so good to see you.
If you refer to me as a star every time I speak, I'm going to come talk to you guys every single meeting.
Sounds like a plan.
Mayor Leidy, Mayor Pro Tem Wilford, distinguished councilwomen and councilmen, it's a pleasure to be with you tonight. My name is Brian Mason. I am the newly elected district attorney for the 17th Judicial District. I took office on January 12th, so nearly 2 months ago today, actually. And I wanted to take a couple minutes on your agenda. I'm grateful for the time to introduce myself to you and to your constituents in the city of Northglenn. I know all of you know that the city of Northglenn is a part of the 17th Judicial District. The 17th JD has all of Adams County and Broomfield counties. And having taken office, it's important to me to partner with the communities that I serve, and that's ultimately why I'm here tonight, to tell you that I am eager to partner with the city of Northglenn and all of you to keep the city of Northglenn safe. When people ask me what my priorities are as the new DA, I say this: I have two pillars upon which I'm building my term in office, and that is one, keeping our community safe, and two, making the criminal justice system better. And I firmly believe that those two pillars are not mutually exclusive. I think they go hand in hand. And I'm truly eager to work with you all and the city to accomplish both of those goals. I wanted to just mention a couple things. First of all, in honor of Women's, I think today is International Women's Day, and it's Women's History Month. In my 2 months in office now, I've been working to build out my leadership team. And in our district attorney's office, we have sort of a management structure that starts with the DA. And then I've added a second assistant district attorney, which is my second in command. And she is a woman, which is one of the first times we've had an assistant district attorney who's a woman. And more importantly, the next level of management at the DA's office is called Chief Trial Deputy. And that actually Chief Deputy District Attorney. And that sounds a little wonky, but the reason I bring this up is this: we have 8 Chief Deputy District Attorneys in the office, and then they help me run an office of over 200 staff, attorneys and other staff. And we've never had more than 3 women as Chief Deputy DAs. And I've increased that to 6. And so the balance of power, as it were, amongst the chief deputies in my office is now 6 women to 2 men, which is the first time we have ever had that many women chief deputies at the district attorney's office. And I'm really proud of that. My goal as your DA is to reflect the community that we serve. And as I said, to make the criminal justice system better. And certainly that includes diversifying our staff, which I've been able to do in the short time that I've been in office. I believe in the city of Northglenn. I have tried some really big cases from your police department. You have a fantastic police department with a fantastic police chief and some terrific police detectives, officers, et cetera. The entire department is a department that I think very highly of. And I appreciate, as your DA, this council's commitment to your department, your police department, and that fantastic new facility that you've built. And I would like you all to lobby some of the other city councils in the 17th Judicial District to build some equally beautiful facilities, because it's truly a model for all of us. So those are just a couple of my opening remarks, Madam Mayor. I would be delighted to take questions from anyone on the council if you have them for me. If I may, I'd like to make one introduction. One of the first things that I did after taking office was to create a new position in my office called Chief of Policy and Public Affairs. And I converted one of my traditional Chief Deputy DA positions to this Chief of Policy position so that I have somebody who is full-time working on criminal justice reform, policy, legislative outreach, and interfacing with local governments like the city of Northglenn. And my new chief is Tony Wayman. She's here tonight. She's making a quick appearance right now, waving to you all. Any one of you has a direct line to me at any time that you need, but I also wanted you to know that Tony will be a partner with me as I partner with the city of Northglenn and all the cities in my judicial district. And so if you ever need something from her or me, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.
I see a couple hands. Mayor Pro Tem Wilford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have a question. Well, maybe I do, Brian. Stay tuned. I just want to say I'm so incredibly excited to see you in this role. I think that you are just a tremendously hard worker, great problem solver, and I think you're really going to be an asset to our 17th Judicial District. And it sounds like if the last 2 months are any indication of what we can expect from your office, big things are definitely ahead. So excited to work for you or work alongside of you. And I think the only question I have for you is, does the puppy get to come to work? Are you going to get the puppy a position, Brian?
Yes, we do have a new puppy in my household, and she's cute, but she doesn't sleep very well. And I'm hoping there will be a day when I don't just like her, but actually love her. And we haven't quite reached that yet, but I will. I love puppies. They're wonderful.
Baby steps, baby steps. Well, congratulations on your role. We're excited to work with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I will just say, I know there may be more questions, but the district attorney's office hasn't always been a good partner with the community, and we haven't always reached out. And that's something that I am endeavoring to change immediately in the moment that I took office. And one of the reasons why I am prioritizing coming to this city council and to all the city councils is for you and your constituents to hear me say, we're going to be a partner and we're going to serve our entire community and partner with all of you. And this is just the first step.
Councilmember Escobar.
Hi, Brian. I don't have a question that relates to your office. Do you have a twin brother, or do you have a brother that looks just like you?
I do.
And he works for Reuters?
He works for Reuters News Service, yes.
Okay. I saw him on CNN one day and I said, what's Brian doing there?
Yes, the resemblance is pretty striking. I'm very proud of him.
Yeah. We're proud of you. Thank you.
Well, Brian, welcome. I was on the same wavelength with Mayor Pro Tem. As you began to introduce Tony, I thought for sure the puppy was coming on screen. I'm about, 6 months ahead of you. We have matching puppies. And so I feel your pain. It does get better. They are
that makes me feel
sweet
good.
As can be.
I appreciate
sweet as can be. We'll have to do a dog park.
Definitely. I'd love it.
Welcome. And we're so just happy to have you. And thanks for taking the time to meet with the city.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for the time, and I look forward to working together with all of you in the years to come.
Great. Have a good night.
You too. Be safe.
Okay, our next presentation tonight is, we have Michael Stricker with us, Northglenn Arts and Humanities Foundation Director. And you have a presentation for council. So I'm going to pull that up for you. Welcome, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see all of you. I miss seeing you in person, but I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Right. I know. Oh, here we go. Dun, dun, dun.
Unfortunately, I don't have any puppies either to introduce tonight.
All right. Okay.
Okay. All right. And if you could just go back one slide, Mayor Leidy, thank you. Yeah, so thank you again, Mayor Leidy and City Council. I am Michael Stricker. I'm the Cultural Programs and Senior Center Supervisor for the city. And this month actually is my 13-year anniversary, so glad to be here. One of my main responsibilities is to work as the director of the Northglenn Arts and Humanities Foundation, or NAHF. It is always my pleasure to get to present to you where the NAHF has been the past year and where we are going. Although 2020 was an extraordinary year of learning how to adjust to the unprecedented, I am happy to say that the future is very, very bright in Northglenn Arts. So thank you again for having me. Next slide, please. The arts and culture on a municipal level really began in 1975 when Northglenn decided to include a theater in the current Northglenn Recreation Center. The DL Parsons Theater has a seating capacity of 320 seats, includes a large dressing rooms, a fly space, and a shop. Because of those amenities and the architectural design of the space, it is a very specifically a performance theater, as opposed to strictly a movie theater, concert, or lecture hall. The D.L. Parsons Theater is able to provide all those types of performances, as well as fully developed theatrical productions, including theater, dance, and musicals. It is the largest theater facility of its kind in Adams County. The theater is named after a former mayor, and his daughter Jill Parsons sits on the NAHF Board of Directors. It is truly a community asset in that it has not only provided a wide range of Northglenn Arts programs for the past 45 years, but has also been a home to countless organizations, from dance troupes to chorales and heritage events to school productions. Pandemics aside, it has been a very, very busy facility for the past several decades. Next slide, please. So the new theater, I have to tell you that it is an amazing moment in an arts administrator's career when they are able to say, we're opening a new facility this year. And to be able to say that while the world is coming out of a pandemic is truly notable. The new theater is a beacon of hope, truly, for the community, patrons, artists, technicians, designers, and performers. 2021 represents an extraordinary step forward in Northglenn arts history. Most notably, the new facility will greatly expand Northglenn's ability to control the quality of the patron experience and to control the quality and effectiveness of the space for production. The state-of-the-art facility includes greatly expanded lighting, sound, projection, and visual capabilities. This allows the new facility to more effectively present diverse programming that is necessary to meet the needs of our changing community. Simply put, the technology or the technical capabilities of the new space allow us to produce a far greater scope of types of productions and in a much more efficient way. The new facility also includes dedicated support spaces. These are high-functioning spaces that work as an ecosystem for theater operations, dedicating very specific uses in each area to allow for more productions and events to occur throughout the year. A dedicated rehearsal space, for instance, frees the stage to be used for audience-specific scheduling. Greatly expanded storage and shop space allows for in-house, touring, and guest productions to more freely move in and out of the space, and in some cases work concurrently with each other. An adjustable orchestra pit allows for a significantly larger performance space when at stage height. And then when it is adjusted to the down position in the pit, it allows for expanded live music accompaniment, which we've never had. The loading dock allows for regional and national tours to deliver sets. The stage itself highlights one of the greatest improvements in that its size, both by usable square footage and its extraordinary height, will finally be able to meet the demands of production that has been lacking in the current facility. The patron experience improves with the controlled entryway, a dedicated lobby, an expanded box office with a bar, the addition of adjacent classrooms, and a modern seating design. The bottom line really is that both the patron and artist experience will have taken a huge leap forward, putting Northglenn in a higher tier of professionalism, quality, and its ability to provide dynamic programming. Next slide, please. So Northglenn Arts is the marketing term or messaging umbrella for all of the many, many programs that the city, in partnership with the NAHF, provide to the public. So Northglenn Arts can essentially be broken up into these four categories. Producing. Producing is any product that we cast, build the set, hold auditions and rehearsals, or in some cases a series that we put together. So think Northglenn Youth Theater, Northglenn Youth Theater Academy, Outreach and Education, summer concerts, summer movies, etc. Presenting includes any production that we bring in from the outside, organizations and companies. This includes collaborations with local companies like Cleo Parker Robinson Dance, Su Teatro, Imagine ASL, Black Arts Festival, and so on. It also includes what will greatly expand in the new space, which is national and regional tours. So special events. Those include smaller one-off events like Daddy-Daughter Sweetheart Ball, Night of the Stars Talent Show, Teddy Bear Picnic, Northglenn High School collaborations, and so forth. Public art includes the Art on Parade Sculpture on Loan program, which celebrates its 20th anniversary this year, if you can believe it, and several other commissioned works like the Native Grasses at Northglenn Promenade, the Veterans Memorial, and others. I do also like to note that Northglenn Arts continues to work very closely with the events division run by Stephen Stokes on many levels, including equipment and information sharing, collaborations on some events and series, and for general planning purposes. Next slide, please. The NHF was established in 1990. It exists to assure access to the arts for all. The NHF maintains and nurtures the cultural arts for the benefit of the community. It is a separately run 501c3, currently with 9 volunteer board members of various backgrounds and expertise. It too is a majority female board of directors. 2 additional individuals have been attending and will likely join the board here in the next few months. So there's always a lot of interest. The board has 2 non-voting members. Council member Joyce Downing is the council liaison, and then myself as the director. The NHF completes its own 1099s and 990 each year, manages its own budgets, meets monthly throughout the year, and volunteers for events. The NHF Board of Directors' job is providing funding, advocacy, and guidance for Northglenn Arts, and to work on a very hands-on level when it comes to public art programs. They are a very dedicated board, putting in several hours a month beyond board meetings to assure that the mission is being met. And next slide. So we talk about the financials. So with regards to revenue, this is the structure. So Northglenn Arts revenues are divided between contributed and earned income. Generally speaking, the contributed income, so grants and donations, flow through the NHF, and the earned revenue goes to the city. So as an example, during a Northglenn Youth Theater production, all SCFD grant funds and donations go through the city, go through the NHF to pay for the show, and then all of the ticket sales and participant registrations generated by the show go to the city. You can see the per capita funds are what kick this all off. Once per capita funds are released by City Council, the NHF is then able to apply for the SCFD grant, generate donations and other grants, to then pay for programs that generate earned revenue for the city. The NHF also generates revenue through concessions and merchandise sales, as well as some investment income. As you can see on the city side, all theater rental income stays within the city. So again, the per capita dollars allow the NHF to go after grants and donations with additional income of concessions and merchandise sales to then pay for a program that generates earned revenue for the city through those ticket sales and registrations. And next slide, please. The expenditures, this is how we then spend the money. The NHF mostly covers production costs. So think sets, props, costumes, etc. The NHF also covers the majority of the theater contractors used throughout the year, like designers, technicians, builders. And then the NHF also covers all public art purchases and the majority of public art maintenance costs. And of course, there are some fundraising and administration costs there as well. So the city pays for the 5 salaried employees that make all this happen. The city also pays for all facility and equipment costs, class instructors, ticketing and registration, and custodial services. And as you can see, there are a few shared costs as well, but this is the basic structure. In the broadest terms, if you were to combine the annual NHF budget with the city's cultural programs division budget, approximately $600,000 covers Northglenn Arts programs every year. That $600,000 includes the per capita. So the biggest variables within that budget are how much is spent on public art in a given year and the staffing needs of any particular production. But that's the basic structure. Okay, and then next slide, please. So 2020, Northglenn Arts was fortunate to retain salaried staff and continued programs within CDPHE and Tri-County Health guidelines throughout most of 2020. The first quarter, it was a long time ago, but the first quarter of 2020 was a resounding success. Northglenn Arts successfully presented the first ever Northglenn High School Poetry Slam, the Black Arts Festival and Source Theater collaboration of the history of African American music, Cleo Parker Robinson's dances Rhapsody in Black, an SCFD workshop for arts professionals from all 7 metro counties, the Daddy-Daughter Sweetheart Ball, theater rentals, 2 a cappella concerts, 2 travel films, and then in the middle of the Imagine ASL's production of Sign Me a Story, everything changed. However, although almost every program beginning March 14th was modified or canceled, the arts, as all of you know, were hit really, really hard through this. Northglenn Youth Theater, summer concerts and movies, NYT Academy, and public art programs were a positive thread keeping our community together during a difficult time. The spring NYT production was unfortunately unable to perform on stage, but did continue with virtual rehearsals that resulted in recorded songs with the cast. The NYT successfully transitioned its traditional large-scale production in the fall to 3 smaller, socially distant productions, providing a stage for area youth to perform for small, in-person audiences and live stream to the greater whole of friends and family. NYT Academy also provided a huge array of virtual and in-person, socially distant classes and camps throughout 2020. Missoula Children's Theater returned for a 32nd year with residencies scheduled in January and August. The January residency was sold out, and the August residency was indeed canceled. Unfortunately, some indoor concerts and travel films and some other events were canceled, along with Northglenn Players productions in the summer and winter. However, the great discovery of 2020 for us was that old school drive-ins are still loved by the community and are relatively immune to viruses. We successfully converted our summer concert series and summer movie series to a drive-in format at Northwest Open Space. Due to them being sold out and the overwhelmingly positive feedback that we received, we then offered 3 additional drive-in movies, 2 in the fall and 1 in December. From patrons decorating their cars to car horns becoming the new applause, it was an unusual but affirming outdoor concert and movie series. Over and over again, we received emails and cards from residents and patrons thanking us for a safe communal experience outside of the house. And then just one quick note about the SCFD. The Scientific and Cultural Facilities District, or SCFD, is a voter-approved sales tax that grants over $55 million to arts and science organizations in the Denver metro region every year. So think everything from the Denver Zoo and the Denver Center for the Performing Arts all the way to the Bird Conservancy of the Rockies in the Adams County and the NAHF. The NAHF was awarded just over $95,000 by the SCFD in 2020. That constitutes one of the highest awards in all of Adams County. Thankfully, the SCFD did not require any funds to be returned throughout the pandemic. While programs were being augmented or even canceled throughout the region, the SCFD allowed organizations to retain awarded funds to help the arts weather the storm. And next slide, please. Public art is also relatively immune to viruses, we have now discovered. So everything kept going. And 2020 was a big year for Northglenn in terms of expanding the permanent collection. The basic setup is that the NHF initiates calls for entry, manages the selection of work, determines installation locations, and then gifts all public art to the city for its permanent collection. The city's first venture into public art was actually in 2001, with the creation of Art on Parade. Art on Parade is a sculpture on loan program that is driven by resident and park visitor selections. Submissions come in from around the country. A large volunteer committee selects 6 finalists to go in E.B. Rains. And then Northglenn residents and park visitors vote on those final 6 to select the People's Choice winner. Here you can see a map of the full collection of public art, which includes Art on Parade winners, and there's several additional large-scale and unique commissioned work in there as well. The 2020 Art on Parade winner was Raising Old Glory by Colorado artist Bill Bunting. It's a steel sculpture with a cowboy and his son raising the American flag. The sculpture will remain in E.B. Rains until May, when the new Art on Parade selection is installed. The NAHF will be recommending a permanent location for Raising Old Glory to City Council later in the year. And next slide, please, Mayor. Okay, so two large-scale projects are adding considerable value to the permanent collection. The RTD installations, along with the lobby sculpture, will bring the total Northglenn Public Art Collection value to $900,000. It's an impressive number for a city our size, honestly. The 2019-2020 People's Choice Award was Salvaire by Jeff Best. It was the overwhelming winner that year. The selection inspired the idea of making transportation the artistic theme at the newly developed 112th RTD N-Line station. The Salvaire hitch with the two horses was installed in the bus roundabout, and the large-scale wall sculpture named Test Temporis, also by Jeff Best, was installed in September. Northglenn artist Jerry Hadamio was then hired for the RTD project to create transportation-themed murals for the PCS boxes on the south end of the property. The sculpture and mural installations were celebrated at the September 21st RTD N-Line grand opening. RTD provided $44,000 of the $86,000 project budget. We were very proud to be the only municipality that had completed our public art projects along the N-Line before the grand opening. The theater lobby sculpture project. So this is exciting. To enhance the new facility, the NAHF voted to secure funds through the SCFD for a large-scale commissioned artwork for the new theater lobby. The advantage of a hanging sculpture or suspended atrium sculpture is that it creates a memorable impact on the space without eating up precious floor space. The inspiration for the project comes from the desire to enhance Northglenn's emerging city campus through sculpture installation, creating civic pride and cultural conversations through the engagement of art. The project was designed to enhance the patron's experience, letting you know you have arrived. After taking over 100 submissions from around the country and going through a lengthy selection process, Mark Ailing of MGA Studios in Florida was selected. He actually has roots in Colorado and has been a prolific sculptor on the international stage for over 20 years. We're very lucky to have him. After working closely with the NAHF during the design process, Mark created what has been named Illumination. And this is what Mark says of the design for the lobby. The theater will be a multifaceted community center where individuals gather to marvel and to dream, to share stories and to explore the many layers of imagination. Like a firework, a beautiful explosion of creativity, the theater bursts at the seams with life and wonderment. Much like a firework, a young flower blossom emerges from the stem. This growth symbolic of new ideas and experiences. Illumination honors Colorado's state flower while providing a striking centerpiece that elicits joy, wonder, and inspiration for patrons of the theater and the residents of Northglenn. So the sculpture is currently being manufactured in Florida and will be installed sometime in August or September. $100,000 was awarded by the SCFD to the NAHF for the project. In addition, $25,000 from the NAHF, $2,500 from Colorado Creative Industries, an additional $10,000 in donations. And I'm happy to say that the $10,000 donation that the foundation set in 2020 was surpassed by $4,000. And that's during a pandemic. A large plaque will be installed in the theater lobby, thanking the many individuals and organizations that donated to the project. And next slide. So although 2020 saw the cancellation or modification of nearly all theater programs, it became a seminal moment of transition in preparation for the new theater. The NHF embraced the struggles caused by the pandemic, social unrest, and political upheaval to go through a rebirth of sorts. The NAHF reevaluated its vision and programming goals and how they affect the new space, which resulted in a newly developed strategic plan. So for instance, through this process, increasing dynamic programming through presenting opportunities has become a much, much higher priority. Northglenn has been very successful in producing a broad range of youth programming, education, and performance opportunities for decades. However, providing high quality professional adult programming has been sporadic, oftentimes held back by the limitations of the space. Also, due to the pandemic's cancellation of Northglenn players, NAHF was provided a unique opportunity to think more broadly about impact. So the NAHF vision is to capitalize on 45 years of arts programming and greatly increase Northglenn's profile as an arts destination for the decades to come. We will do this through expanded quality programming, inclusive storytelling, engaging our diverse community, providing excellent patron and participant experiences, and safeguarding access to the arts for all. There are several goals outlined in the plan, but I'd like to just highlight just a few. The NHF will achieve its vision by advocating for Northglenn arts interests at the county and regional level, recognizing and acting on market demand, embracing innovation in the arts, creating opportunities for the community and patrons to provide feedback, and increase the value proposition by offering a wider range of performing arts experiences at a commensurate ticket price. And most importantly, ensuring that our artistic practices nurture and affirm all artists, participants, and audiences through programming that is representative of the city's diversity, inclusivity, and social equity values. So by expanding our collaborations with SCFD-funded organizations on a local level and investing in regional and national tours, Northglenn Arts can better meet market demand, embrace innovation, increase the value proposition, and meet the city's DICE goals. In other words, we will match high quality and dynamic programming with a brand new high quality and dynamic facility. Already we are negotiating for both national and regional tours that you would see at the Lone Tree Arts Center, Lakewood Cultural Center, or even the Villar Center in Beaver Creek. So closer to home, we've already secured Family Theater Company, which features performers with disabilities. The Colorado Symphony Orchestra has already been booked. Su Teatro Performing Arts, Cleo Parker Robinson, Black Arts Festival, and more and more and more. There's a very long list. All of this is in addition to a greatly expanded Northglenn Youth Theater and Academy and countless other series, productions, and events. We've got a lot coming up. 2020 was a difficult year, but as you can see in Northglenn Arts, the light at the end of the tunnel is very bright. So if you'd go to the last slide for me, Mayor. Thank you very much for allowing me to present an overview of where we've been and where we are going. The release of per capita funds, I believe, is on the consent agenda this evening, but I'd be happy to take your questions now if you have any.
Thank you, Michael, for being here.
Yeah.
Councilmember Malika.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I really do want to emphasize my sincere appreciation for you and your work, specifically for the city of Northglenn. I think our community arts program is phenomenal. I think it is the true gem of Northglenn. And to be honest, everything you just said right there, I was just like excited, overexcited, with so much to look forward to. Plus, you know, I have a daughter who's very much interested in the arts. And so I feel like I am just in the perfect place in Denver to make sure that she gets as much exposure as she wishes. So, you know, thank you for all of your hard work, your inspiration, and really just making Northglenn a fantastic place to be, to experience the arts in all different levels. I think that is just an amazing opportunity that we have. So thank you so much for all of that.
Well, thank you for saying so. I have an amazing staff. Also, my boss, Amanda Peterson, is totally a part of this. She's so great to work for, and I love my job. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I could echo exactly what Councilmember Malika said. Everything in your presentation was inspiring. The way you guys persevered through the pandemic season and all of the vision and hope for the future. It's really exciting. And we know how much hard work has gone into this from your whole team, and we do appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I did want to say one quick thank you then to the mayor and city council. Thank you for always supporting the arts. Thank you for the new facility. Thank you for all of it. I really appreciate it. And thanks for having me here tonight.
Thank you. Okay, moving into public invited to be heard. It's an opportunity for public comment on any item not set for public hearing. Joanna, is there anyone signed up to speak to council?
There is. We have a resident. Her name is Beth McElry, and I will unmute her and then she will be ready to speak. Beth, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Hi, Beth.
Yes, hi. Hi. Thank you so much for letting me speak. I have just 3 comments with regards to CR 27, CR 29, and CR 25. Although I do feel a bit like a Grinch for CR 27 after the lovely presentation that we just heard. My concern is a level of priority. And so that the $77,000 being given to the arts, which I think is a lovely program, I'm wondering if that money might not be better spent, especially with the COVID, and if we might look towards more essential services or more essential help with regards to the small businesses in our community who are struggling so mightily to even just keep their doors open, or to help those businesses who've had to close, that we might be able to have them reopen their doors. With regards to CR 29, to paid family and caregiver leave, I'm wondering those level of benefits that are now being considered for our city employees, how does that compare to the level of family leave benefits that are being that the citizens or the residents of Northglenn currently receive? I'm worried about equity in that our city employees will be enjoying a much greater level of benefits than the people who are paying for them currently enjoy. And then with regards to CR 25, I don't have a philosophical difference with transferring the funds over to CFHA. I do wonder if CFHA has programs to help specifically young people who are just starting out. As we're all quite aware, housing in Colorado has gotten extraordinarily expensive. And I know that young people are finding a very difficult time trying to find housing on their own. And so it would be nice if the CFHA had programs that would help specifically those young people, whether or not they were part of a family with children or not, to help them with their housing needs. So those are my comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Joanna, do we have any written comments or voicemails?
I did not receive any, no.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving into communications. Who has the Legislative Policy Committee update?
That would be me, Mayor. Thank you.
All right.
Notes are required. So a lot of bills that are affecting the city that we've received updates on tonight from our legislative team. So just kind of going down here quickly to brief council and residents. House Bill 1106 is the safe storage of firearms in homes, and that has been debated today, ongoing in the House. We took a position of support on this. House Bill 1162 is the Plastic Product Management Bill, which phases out single-use plastics. And what it does also is it eliminates the state preemption against any sort of local control on this. So Northglenn would be allowed to regulate or legislate as we see fit with this. I'll get to this a little later, but Shelley Stanley and Pam Aker from Water Quality and their collective coordinators with Storm Water Coordinator and Water Quality Coordinator spoke to us about the impact of single-use plastics very much on the Platte River and on various aspects of our storm drainage system. And so I'll talk about their comments a little later, but that was a very, very high priority of these Northglenn staff members speaking to us as well. Senate Bill 64 is a bill on retaliation against elected officials. It's against retaliation on elected officials. The American Civil Liberties Union opposes this bill, partially for a potential chilling effect on free speech issues, and also they're hesitant to designate a separate class of individuals with more or less rights as they may see it. This is a bill that we have taken a position of support on for the city. House Bill 1163, kind of an interesting one. It relates to retail sales tax. And as of right now, it's currently illegal for a retailer to say that they would absorb a sales tax as part of their marketing campaign with consumers. They still have to remit their taxes, but they can't say that they would pay the sales tax in marketing. And so we're kind of taking a look at this. Corey spoke about the legality of this, and we're observing this to see how this may morph here in the short term. We have taken a position of support on House Bill 1186, which is not collectively, but I guess short term, kind of called the RTD bill. And before we get our excitement up, this is very much kind of a perfunctory house cleaning bill with some of the loose ends with operations and management of RTD. And so this is allowing fare box recovery ratio, which will allow for more alternative flexible fares, right, including eco passes and things like that, development on RTD property. These are fixes that the RTD Advisory Committee have worked with. They've seen for a long, long time. And again, just kind of some tweaks with some internal management of RTD. Other bills that have come up that were mentioned to us by our lobbying team is House Bill 1195, which is the potential licensing of radon professionals, arguably is a potential public safety issue. Senate Bill 122 is something that Heather will reach out to Chief May and talk about, but it allows local governments to be able to use bulk purchasing for what's called opioid antagonists, which is the medication to help people suffering in an emergency from an overdose. And so we talked if that would be a fiscal benefit, excuse me, for the city in the long term. Another one that's kind of we're watching and stuff, and this is supported. It's House Bill 1051. It's sponsored primarily and favored primarily by CASB, the Colorado Association of School Boards, and it relates to defining what a finalist is for a job, most likely like a superintendent position. And so is the concept of a finalist related to one finalist? And if so, is that at odds with the concept of naming all applicants in the spirit and letter of open records and meeting law? So that's one that we're kind of interested in a little bit, just to kind of see how that shakes out. And Corey's talked about a current Court of Appeals opinion that is in line with the bill's intention. So those are the main things that we were following. But then we were really, really fortunate to have Pam Aker and Shelley Stanley, again, from our staff, talk to us, taking an interest on public works, water, and following a variety of bills. And they talked about 6 bills that they're following, and all these bills are basically related to our watersheds, and they also include some things that we might not think are connected, like wildfires, but bottom line is forest health and source water. As we all know, the cleaner the water, the easier it is to treat, but it's cheaper for the consumer. And so when water in our watersheds are affected, as they have been by some of our recent wildfires in Colorado, that affects and raises the cost of the purification of the drinking water for our residents. And so they gave an impressive list of bills that we'll be following. House Bill 1008, Senate Bills 1254, 113, 136, and 170. They also talked about water resources financing down the road with Senate Bill 34 and mutual ditch water shares, which is House Bill 1046. related to things not necessarily coming from the Capitol is we're coming up on an MS4 storm system permit, and that will affect the health of the Platte River. And both Pam and Shelley talked about the rulemaking process going through the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment and dealing with how localities will potentially have access to permitting some of their shares and access to water, which is likely a good idea in the whole, but also equally likely to cause some potential undue burdens on localities in terms of wastewater management. So a full agenda, but we were really happy to have Pam and Shelley with us tonight. And that's all I have here.
Thank you very much. Well, we'll go ahead and stick with Ward 1. So Councilmember Witkovich.
Sure, thank you. I will go ahead and report out on the Outside Agency Funding Committee since Randall had a mouthful tonight with his committee. We were considering 3 requests for sponsorships. And before considering them, we had $15,000 in sponsorship money, and we also have our $25,000 in the grant program, which we're going to be rolling out later in the year. But we've had 3 requests, one from CASA for their Light of Hope virtual fundraiser. That's happening on March 25th. We decided not to fund that one right now because we typically fund the Indulge for CASA event, which will happen later in the year. Also had a request from Ralston House for their virtual gala. That's happening, I believe it's this weekend. Yeah, on Sunday, March 14th. And we decided to fulfill their request at, we decided to buy 10 $100 individual tickets. So if anyone is interested in attending that gala, please reach out to Joanna. And then we also considered the 5-Star Education Foundation request to fund their 5-Star Classic, which they're having out at Topgolf. It's not happening until June 10th, so we decided to get a little bit more information about that and kind of how the funds would be used and what kind of exposure we'd have before we decide to fund that one. So we're going to consider that at a future meeting. That was all for our OAF meeting. I wanted to mention that Ward 1 is going to be having a virtual meeting on Thursday, April 15th at 6 p.m. So please tune in for that. We'll mention it again at other meetings before that happens. And then lastly, I just wanted to share a quick story about our mayor and her kindness and her generosity. We were having coffee at Starbucks yesterday, and for whatever reason, they were really struggling and they were having some tech issues, and so their lobby was closed. And this really sweet gentleman pulled up into the handicap space, got out of his car before he finally realized that the lobby was closed. And you could just see that he was disappointed because he really wanted his Starbucks like we all usually do. And he was driving this boat of a car that just would not go through the drive-through. And so Mayor Leidy offered to go through for him. And you could just tell how happy he was, how grateful he was. He was even brought to tears. So I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that because Mayor Leidy didn't have to do that. And it's just her going above and beyond. And I think we're really lucky and really grateful to have her as our mayor. So thanks again for that. That's all I got.
Thank you. That was sweet. Yeah, he was a lovely resident to meet and spend time with yesterday. So, yeah, so sweet.
Very sweet.
And all of Ward 2 is absent. So we will move to Ward 3. Councilmember Goff.
All right. Well, thank you, Mayor. I had a really busy day last week on March 3rd. I did attend the CC4CA Legislative Committee meeting. And I won't go into too many details. They have a lot of bills that are being pushed through the state legislature right now, like more than ever they usually do. Very busy trying to get stuff done. I think a lot of it has to do with things that were cut short last year. But one of the, I guess one of the important ones that we did, the CC4CA decided to support is the Low Income Utility Payment Assistance Bill, which is House Bill 1105. And that one does allow municipalities to include water in their utility assistance programs. So that's something that may be a benefit to our residents if it gets passed. We hope it does. And the other ones, a lot of it has to do with environmental issues, of course. And if anything, that could affect us as a municipality comes up, I'll certainly pass it along. But we just discussed a lot of different things. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. And then also on that same day, I did testify before the state committee against House Bill 1034, which would take away local control on clean energy regulations. And happy to say many municipalities testified against that, not just CC4CA communities. And the bill was killed in committee, so we don't have to worry about that one. Also then later that day, the DICE board subcommittee on the Pride event met, and we are planning a Pride event for later this summer. Details have yet to be hashed out, but lots of creative ideas, good ideas. And our staff is very supportive. Stephen Stokes was there. I think you'll be hearing from us soon on that. We're excited about it. Let's see. We also, and then on the 6th, we had our Ward 3 neighborhood meeting. And we, at one point, we did have 18 participants. I wish we could have more, but we did have some good discussions, great presentations. And I want to thank again the staff that came out on a Saturday afternoon to make those presentations for us. That was wonderful. I just want to echo everything that has been said about today being International Women's Day, and appreciate the proclamation that we were able to make today in honor of Women's History Month. And I think I'll let it go at that. So thank you very much.
Catherine, did you say 18?
Yes.
Okay, so I had 4 people at my mayor's coffee, so 18 is pretty amazing. You should be very proud of 18. That's exciting.
Oh, thank you.
Councilmember Mullica.
We did also have a resident in a kayak for most of the meeting. Just saying.
That's pretty awesome.
Kind of fun. Okay, so I have a bit of an update for this team. Okay, so first off, I was elected chair of the ADCOG Transportation Subcommittee on February 26th. It's a subcommittee of Adams County folks who, again, talk about transit. I don't know why we need to have another one, but we have extra ones just in case we need to talk about transit even more. So I'm excited to work with those folks again and even more so this year. I do have another transportation update I want to give, and this is from our NATA meeting, which stands for North Area Transportation Alliance, that took place on February 25th. And some of that we had in discussion during our strategy meeting virtual retreat the other day. So, but just a couple overviews. So we've all been getting emails about the N-line and all of the kind of routes that are canceled and delays and issues. So there's a couple reasons for that. One of them is issues with the software. So we have we have a software company called Wabtec. It's a really weird name that's been having some software issues that they're trying to work out. It's that's been causing delays. We also have operator shortages, which we've seen in some of the emails as well. And so one of the things that we're going to be seeing is they're getting a new crop of operator recruits coming soon. They're currently in training, so I think that will address some of the issues. And then RTD is trying to increase the performance of the N-line. Currently, on-time performance for the N-line is about 88%. For other lines, that's about 98%. So we have a little bit of a gap there. Remember, we've only been operating for about 4 months-ish. So, we're still trying to get our feet underneath us, but I'm hoping to see that improve over time. The most important thing, I think, to talk about is the pilot fare program that's going to be ending on March 27th. So folks who've been taking the N-line have noticed that you have a pretty decent fare. Well, that's going to be increasing from $3 to $5.25 starting March 27th. And so essentially there is no way due to federal mandates that we could extend the pilot program to keep that fare low. And so one of the things council talked about and something we're going to look into is possibly doing a buy-up option. What does that even look like to try and keep that fare low? One of the most important things is we want to continue to have the N line be successful. We want to increase ridership, not only because of the environmental concerns, but also, I mean, just feasibility for our community. We want to make sure that that route stays strong, that it comes consistent, that folks are able to make that commute into Denver and other parts of Thornton and Commerce City as easily as possible. So we don't want to be seeing cuts to the N line, which means we need to see ridership, and a low fare could help that. So I'm excited that we're going to be able to continue to look at a potential solution moving forward. And then other than that, I think that's all I have. So yeah, we had a great community meeting. It was great to see folks. Unfortunately, I really miss them. I mean, there's some residents that I've definitely grown really close to over the past couple of years, and I really just miss seeing them. So we'll look towards the future to see if one day we might be able to get to see them in person. But other than that, yeah, we had 18 folks and it was great to see everybody. That's all I got. Thanks.
Yes, thanks. Councilmember Escobar.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to talk about Women's History Month because Northglenn made history. I don't know if anybody was listening to the ABC News with David Muir tonight, but Joe Biden, our president, appointed 2 women as 4-star generals. And one of those women is Laura Richardson, Dr. Strickland's daughter. So I called Doc and, he was excited. His buttons were popping off his shirt with pride. He wanted me to convey to council, well, not necessarily to council itself, but to the city and to all young people, that you don't have to graduate from an Eastern Ivy League school to be successful. The other woman who was appointed was a graduate of the Air Force Academy. Laura was a graduate of Metro State. And he wanted to point out that difference, that if you just work hard and you do the right things, good things happen. And he was immensely proud, and Northglenn should also be very proud of Laura Richardson, one of 2 4-star generals appointed today. So congrats to the Strickland family, and that's all I have. Everybody else is covered.
That was an amazing piece to add. Thank you.
Yeah, it was appropriate because of the day of its history. And he obviously, the president of the United States obviously knew that, and that he capitalized on appointing 2 4-star generals. So pretty amazing. And I'm not sure, but I think they're the first 4-star generals in the military. I thought there was a Marine 4-star general, but I'm not sure about that. But anyway, that's our Northglenn resident family, graduate of Northglenn High School, an amazing woman, and something to be proud of. Thank you, Mayor.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. Mayor Pro Tem Wilford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Wow, thank you, Councilmember Escobar, for sharing that. That's so exciting. Congratulations to Laura and the Strickland family. I'm sure that they're over the moon. And I feel like that was probably one of the last big events that we had, perhaps before COVID happened, was having Laura come and visit with us and showcasing her on our 50th anniversary. So definitely great news. My one item this evening is just a reminder for Ward 4 residents that our second ward meeting of the year is going to be held on Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. We'll be providing an update from the Homelessness Task Force Committee, as well as talking about ways that residents can save both energy and money. So I hope to see all of our ward folks there. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you. So I have a few things. I feel like it was a busy week. So the Adams County Regional Economic Partnership hosted their State of the Region event. And so I attended that. I don't mind attending all these things virtually, but they really just are not the same. And so, yeah, I mean, it was great. They had lovely presentations. There was a lot of statistics on home prices that were really interesting. But it was a nice gathering. I'm starting to grow Zoom weary. Two-dimensional people are just not the same. But anyway, another two-dimensional meeting was the Metro Mayor's Caucus. That was also a key part there. We had a presentation by the Front Range Passenger Rail, which is so interesting. I have no idea how they're going to fund it, but just to imagine a train from Pueblo to Fort Collins is kind of cool. So I don't know. It was an interesting presentation. Definitely a shout out to Malley Drive again, but also Leroy Drive Elementary. So both of those schools hosted me for Read Across America Day. And I read a Newbery winner book called Last Stop on Market Street, and it's one of my favorites. So that was really fun. Reading via Zoom, I'm getting to be an old pro at, even though I would much prefer to arrive and see kids in person. But it did give us the opportunity to have more kids at one time. So they had their remote students would Zoom in individually in little individual boxes. They were doing that from home, but then entire classes were joining, and it was really fun. And the staff at both schools were just very welcoming, and the kids asked really good questions, and it was really fun. And then I also gained a new pen pal in the process because I put my email address in the chat, and one student took it right out of there and decided to be my new friend. So I've been enjoying corresponding with Miss Lily. So that, I think, oh no, one more thing. So Angela from Senior Hub reached out to me, and I'm playing phone tag with her. She is looking for Northglenn representation for their Meals on Wheels delivery the week of March 22nd. So I left her a voicemail and said, I'm interested in helping, but she's open to anybody, whether it's a firefighter or a police officer or any council members, or even a city staff member, just a representative or two from Northglenn to participate in that delivery. So if you're interested and you have time, I don't have details. I only know it's the week of the 22nd through the 26th. So I asked her for more details, but if you're interested, just send me a text and I'll give you her number and you can connect with her. But she was looking for volunteers. And then also I did have a lovely afternoon with our new friend, Robert, but it does highlight the small acts of kindness and how that really changes somebody's day. And I know I'm not the only one. I mean, we all do that, everybody on council. But most importantly, it's our residents that do that with one another. And that's what makes me so proud to live here, because we have such a small, tight community that when people see, somebody in need, they just jump right in there. And it really does hit people at their core. So it just provided us a great opportunity to have a nice conversation with someone I'd never met. So that was really fun. And I think we're moving on to City Manager Geyer.
Thank you, Mayor Leidy. Reminder for council and the community that we're hosting a virtual community forum tomorrow evening beginning at 6:30 p.m. Again, it's virtual. All of the details for the introduction of two deputy chief of police candidates are on our website. We've pushed this information out via social media. I believe it was also included in the connection, which dropped just this past weekend. So residents can submit questions in advance. You'll be able to ask questions of the two candidates during the forum. Each candidate will provide background information on themselves. And you'll also be able to, there's a link on our website to where you can submit feedback that will go to Chief May, and he'll consider that in making a hiring decision, and then we'll make an announcement to the community when a decision is made. So that's all I have tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Great. Joanna, our city clerk, what do you have?
I don't have any updates tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, City Attorney Hoffman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I do have a couple of things tonight, and they're really just, unfortunately, what I would call previews of coming attractions, and that is that we got sued twice in the past couple of weeks. I will get you the details as I learn them. I believe one will be, frankly, dismissed before we ever have to do anything by the judge. It was filed by a plaintiff working on his own without an attorney, who many of you probably have had some negative exposure to based on some activities at our mosque. And so I believe that case will be dismissed, hopefully on its own, but we are working on it. And then another one was filed based on 2 allegations of misconduct against the police department. We're still gathering evidence and trying to figure out what the basis is for that complaint. So I will get you a memo on both cases as soon as I have more information.
Thank you. Can I ask a question about the mosque situation? Is that something that would fall under maybe response to citizen inquiry, or at what point, or is it necessary for council to receive an update on where we currently stand with that?
There's probably several related issues. I'm touching only 2 of them, which is the appeal of the individual who was cited and found guilty of obstructing right-of-way in front of the mosque. He appealed that conviction to the Adams County District Court, and that case is now pending in front of the Adams County District Court just as a municipal court appeal. And then this piece of litigation that the same individual filed against the city. I know that the city manager and the police department have been working on other issues with the mosque. I've only been peripherally involved, so that's probably a question for the city manager.
Would you like me to respond now, Mayor?
You can. I mean, I would love more information about where we are with that.
Sure. So in communication with Commander Waltz, the police department, Sergeant Rice, I believe Officer Jeremy Lund has met with leadership at the mosque. I can't give you the specific time frame. It's, I believe, well over a week ago, and talked with them about additional security measures and steps that they can take to make sure that their physical environment is secure, as well as having a level of awareness of any potential threats. City Attorney Hoffman referenced an individual, and that same individual is the person who prompted the most recent concerns with particular members of the mosque. And so the police department's in communication, ongoing communication with the mosque. And I don't want to say too much more given the nature of security aspects, but the police department's in active communication with them. And so we're doing everything we can. We are providing support with the pop-up vaccination clinic that I believe took place today. And so we'll continue to do everything we can to support them and make sure that any threats are mitigated.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, we've been busy. So let's move into the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Second.
Joanna, will you call the vote, please?
Mayor Lighty,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford,
Yes.
Councilmember Witkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Goff,
Yes.
Councilmember Duran Malika,
Yes.
Councilmember Escabel.
Yes.
I will close that vote and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Okay, moving into ordinances. We have one tonight. Ordinances on first reading, CB 1969. Joanna, will you read the title?
A bill for a special ordinance amending the 2021 budget, recognizing revenues and appropriating expenditures by supplemental appropriation for the payment of the costs and expenses of the municipal government, agencies, and offices of the City of Northglenn, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2021.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, Jason Loveland, our Director of Finance, is here to provide a summary. Hi, Jason.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So this supplemental appropriation and CIP carryover is going to roll in projects from 2020 that had not been completed at the end of the year, and then get reconciled in the early months of 2021. When we do the budget, we estimate where projects will finish the end of the year. And this is just to reconcile really how good the estimates were when we're making those in August when we prepared the budget, and then reconciling with actual expenditures through the year for the project. So on the second page of the memo, I'll just touch on a couple of things that aren't related to the capital projects. One is for a purchase order for equity initiatives. This was a purchase order and a contract that was established in 2020. There's $17,800 remaining on the contract with the equity project for customized staff training. The next one is a purchase order again for Springbrook software upgrade. We're moving from version 7.15 to 7.18. The original contract was for around $65,000, and as we continue work on that in 2021, we need to roll the dollars over for that contract, totaling $33,000. And then the next piece of note is software and equipment using state and federal forfeiture funds for law enforcement. They'll be acquiring two pieces of software, scheduling software and field training officer software to track training initiatives, and then also an unmanned drone and a recon robot. That is what is totaled the $48,000. So these are funds that are accumulated and restricted over time from forfeitures that can only be used for these purposes. And then the last piece, the North Low Zone tank painting, so water tank painting. We had $275,000 budgeted in 2020 for this project. The bids came back quite a bit higher. And so when we executed that contract, we needed to add $164,419 to be able to complete that project. So that is being added to the budget. In total, $7 million of expenditures are being added to the budget across the general fund, conservation trust fund, capital projects fund, water and wastewater fund. And I won't go through the attachments to the memo and detail all of the capital projects that are rolling over, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
I see no questions. Thank you, Jason, for your time tonight. Joanna, would you call the vote, please?
Mayor Leidy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Goff,
Yes.
Councilmember Duran Malika,
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
I will close that vote, and CB 1969 on first reading passes unanimously.
Okay, moving into CR 25. Joanna, will you read the title?
A resolution authorizing assignment to the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority of a private activity bond allocation of the City of Northglenn pursuant to the Colorado Private Activity Bond Ceiling Allocation Act.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, so welcome to our Director of Planning and Development, Brooke Svoboda. I cannot say your last name without stumbling. I feel terrible. Thank you for being here, though. Hello.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I'll keep the narrative short tonight on this particular subject. We typically receive about $2 million every year through the Department of Local Affairs through a federal program for private activity bonds that are usually used for low-income type projects, most of which are enumerated in the staff memo. This year, we've had a request for a senior housing project at Carl's Farm. They have requested our $2 million PAB in conjunction with working with CHAFA to create a financing package for them to be able to develop a senior housing project of about 150 units. It will entirely be 100% affordable housing. The breakout of the AMI is in the staff memo. I just want to mention in response to the public comment earlier, in 2019, or from 2012 to 2019, the City of Northglenn has assigned about $11 million to CHAFA for first-time homebuyer programs and also multifamily projects. In that same time period, that has leveraged $65 million of additional private activity bonds between those two items, of which around approximately $40 million has gone to first-time homebuyer programs, and the remaining balance, 35 million and change, has gone to multifamily, and primarily those targeted for affordable housing. So staff is recommending approval of this council bill. This will go to a senior housing project in Carl's Farm, and I believe right now the overall estimated project financing for it is between $14 and $16 million. The project has not gone through public entitlements yet, but we anticipate they'll be making applications sometime in the next quarter.
Great, thank you. Does any council member have a question for Brooke or his guest? No? Okay, well, thank you so much. Joanna, will you call the vote, please?
Mayor Leidy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Goff,
Yes.
Councilmember Duran Malika,
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
I will close that vote, and CR 25 passes unanimously.
Okay, moving into CR 26. Joanna, will you read the title?
A resolution approving a First Amendment to the Subdivision Improvement Agreement for Carl's Farm Filing Number 1, Amendment Number 2.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, Brooke is still here to provide a summary of this item. Hello.
Once again, good evening. This is simply an extension to requests for them to file their letter of credit under the terms of the subdivision improvement agreement. They were initially required to do that by the end of the year last year, and due to COVID and other financial circumstances, they were not able to conclude their full financing for the project until the early part of this year. It is my understanding that once this is approved, probably within the next 7 to 10 business days, they will be posting their letter of credit. And I would also mention that their building permits for all 28 buildings on the site are ready to be issued once this letter of credit is posted. And this is one of the circumstances with the subdivision improvement, in that in order to release building permits and other public improvements on site, they must post this letter of credit, which is the security for all of the public improvements associated with their development. And so this is one of the key tools that we have when we are looking at land use development. But nonetheless, they are eager to get started, and staff has recommended approval of this resolution.
Any questions or comments tonight? Okay, Joanna, will you call the vote, please?
Mayor Leidy?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitkovich?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Goff?
Yes.
Councilmember Duran Malika?
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar?
Yes.
I will close that vote, and CR 26 passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, CR 28. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A resolution approving a professional services agreement between the City of Northglenn and LRE Water Incorporated for the Aquifer Storage and Recovery Feasibility Study Phase 2.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, Tammy Moon, our environmental manager, is here to provide a summary. Hi, Tammy.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. So Council Resolution number 28 is a professional services contract with Leonard Rice Engineering. We are contracting to work with them for the second phase of our aquifer storage and recovery study. Aquifer storage and recovery, we noted in our integrated water resources plan as an option for some additional storage that will cost less and be maybe more efficient for us than searching for surface water storage. Phase 1 of that project, of the aquifer storage and recovery project, looked at the potential to use existing wells in the city of Northglenn to inject water into the Denver Basin aquifer system and use that for storage. And in that first phase, we did determine that this is a potential for City of Northglenn as an alternate storage. And so we would like to move into the second phase where we evaluate the cost potential and the needs for what a full-scale aquifer storage and recovery project and plant facility in the city of Northglenn will look like. Leonard Rice is uniquely positioned to do this work for us. They've done it similar work for Denver Water and a number of other municipalities in the Front Range area who are considering aquifer storage and recovery. So at the end of this project, we are hoping to have all of the permits that are necessary to be submitted to the EPA, along with a 90% design for a pilot well, so we can start really evaluating the potential and the outcomes for aquifer storage and recovery in Northglenn.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Tammy? Okay, thank you. Joanna, will you call the vote?
Mayor Leidy?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitkovich?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Goff?
Yes.
Councilmember Duran Malika?
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar?
Yes.
I'll close that vote, and CR 28 passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Moving into discussion items, we have one tonight, neighborhood services level of service. So Brooke is back. Take the floor.
Once again, good evening. I want to start this discussion by sort of leading in with Heather and I have been talking about this discussion item or this topic for council for a number of months. And one of the things that I have personally struggled with is what is the best way to engage council with this process of understanding council expectation when it comes to code enforcement. And originally what we had put together was a sort of very straightforward, let's educate council, inform them, explain to them, understand the history, context, et cetera, which quite frankly would have been which we've actually prepared is a very long conversation and presentation by staff. And one of the things that came to mind is I wanted to suggest in this discussion tonight is to flip the process. And what my thought process has been is let's engage council first on a more one-on-one level and understand what the individual council members' concerns and needs are as it relates to code enforcement, and then bring that information back to the entire council to sort of see what the spectrum of issues and concerns and ideas are for code enforcement, to then foster a policy conversation on what is the best approach moving forward. Because I think all of you would be enlightened and appreciate what we've done and how far we've come with code enforcement. And I think even with Corey's office and the prosecuting attorney here in Northglenn, we've done an amazing amount of work to try to optimize and make our processes more efficient and more responsive with better outcomes. With that, all that being said, we are doing a lot, but I think it's more important from my perspective, and what I want to share with council tonight is really try to start with what your understandings and concerns are, and then us develop some information that will help either allow you guys the opportunity to truly weigh in and understand what type of approach is the right approach for Northglenn. So with that, I have put into the staff memo that we would do an engagement on a one-on-one basis, and also then have a study session to report back, and then potentially a second study session to have policy recommendations.
So Brooke, I have a question really quickly. So I see the timeline. You're looking at March, April, and May.
Yep.
And I think this is a great idea. I feel like we're going to get a resurgence of ideas in October, September, October, because that seems to be when council is, or, most council members are knocking on doors and really engaging. And my experience both times was code enforcement is the number one issue at the door. And so, I appreciate this, but I feel like we're going to end up having possibly another round in the fall where we all have fresh ideas. So that's why the first thing I looked at was timeline.
So I would suggest that this is an iterative process and it doesn't have to be a one and done. And I think that's one of the things that as staff, when we're presenting information, we try to get in, get out, and move forward. I think this particular topic requires a little bit more of attention. And while I completely appreciate the concerns going into the fall, I think what this might also do is help enable council to have a better talking points and narrative on addressing those concerns when they are out on the street. And so I think by all means, I don't think, and trust me, this is probably the fourth or fifth time that I have been in front of council in my 9.5 years here with the organization talking about code enforcement. So please understand that I think this is an ongoing topic of discussion, and I am definitely open to continuing the discussion. But once again, the idea here is to really sit down and have a more meaningful approach than me trying to explain to you what we do and why we do it. More importantly is what is it that you guys want?
I appreciate that. I like what you've outlined. Thank you. Councilmember Mullica?
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much, Brooke, for bringing this process forward. I think it could be really helpful and informative for us to try and figure out what the future of code enforcement might look like. I feel like, there's so many demands put on this group of folks, and it's important that we have a conversation and revisit this because it's a huge, important issue. I know particularly for Ward 3 in the Village Green area, a lot of this is the number one complaint you get all of the time. And so it's really important for that community to continue to talk about what code enforcement means for them. And then also I've heard from residents how code enforcement is kind of used as, unfortunately, an attack tool
from one resident on another resident. And some think that it's racially motivated because they didn't like the color of that neighbor's skin. So, I mean, I think that it's important that you guys put in using the tools from CARE, because I think that there is a really significant race and equity factor when it comes to code enforcement. And so I always felt like that was an important thing to put into this conversation. So I think it's fantastic. So I'm excited about this process. I think I'm really interested to hear what some of the outcomes are going to be with the study sessions. And I like the schedule. I do agree that this is going to be probably something that's going to continue to evolve over time as we, have different conversations with residents, and then obviously with current and new council members moving forward. Code enforcement will always be a part of local government life. So we got to love it and embrace it. So thank you so much for bringing this forward.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Brooke, I just wanted to say I really appreciate the process that you laid out here. And I think, really providing the space for each council member to share feedback and talk through, different situations that we've experienced and seen take place in our ward, I think could be really fruitful. And I think that, I feel like the job of code enforcement officers and even your role, as the person in charge of all of the code enforcement officers is really tricky. You've got these very real issues. And then you've also got, some neighbor issues that come up that I think tend to get they can be a little dicey, right? And like it's a tough call in terms of where you mediate and where you don't. So I think this is a really good process. I especially love that we're looking to apply an equity lens, because I think what Councilmember Mullica brought up is a really good point, and it's something I've certainly seen play out in Ward 4 with some of those neighbor disputes. So I just really appreciate this process, and I think we're gonna get a lot out of it. So well done.
Thank you.
Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm looking forward to participating in this process as well. I think code enforcement, as we've heard, a couple people say, is one of those issues that's never going to go away, and it really does vary from place to place, even within Northglenn, and the reasons that people feel strongly about it one way or the other can vary a lot. I always think of things like people's concerns about speeding and how in fireworks, and how we can pass laws and have, and try to enforce them. And it does not mean that people are not going to ignore what the law is or the code or whatever. And so sometimes it might be worth it to try to look a little bit further into the reasons why things are happening. And I'm really glad that we are going to use the Government Alliance on Race and Equity. I don't know if it's the toolkit or their lens for looking at this, because that might help us to get into some of the background behind why these become problems, bigger and bigger problems. So I would be, if you're asking for our support or in this process, I would give the support for it.
Thank you.
Well, thanks. I don't see any other questions or comments, so we look forward to the process.
Great, thanks. So we'll be reaching out to you guys to start setting up a schedule for one-on-ones, and we'll be getting that rolling here this week. So thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, moving into public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak to council at this time? No? Okay. All right. I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session pursuant to section 4.5A of the City of Northglenn Home Rule Charter for personnel matters regarding council appointee evaluations.
So moved.
You can have it, Catherine.
Joanna, will you call the vote, please?
Mayor Lighty,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Goff,
Yes.
Councilmember Duran Malika,
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
I will close that vote, and the motion to adjourn to executive session passes unanimously.
Okay.
Good night, all.
Bye, Corey. So Bob's going to end the live stream. I would take a break, but I actually think this is going to be a quick item, and I don't.